You can see the rest of this discussion at our website, cspan.org. The U.S. House is about to gavel in for the prayer and Pledge of Allegiance, and then we expect them to gavel out until 5 for legislative business, including a couple of non-controversial suspension bills, including one that would place a statue of former President Gerald Ford in the U.S. Capitol. Votes are scheduled for 6.
The House will be in order. Prayer will be offered today by our chaplain, Father Coughlin.
Eternal God, before whom all creation bows, and the Father of all humanity, another week of life and testing unfolds before us. With the breath of spring upon us, may kindness be given fresh vision on how to address the needs of your people. And as a good steward of national resources, be delivered from alien forces and the tyranny of money. By respecting the goodness of your creation and recognizing your image in each person, make this nation an instrument of peace and an ambassador of reconciliation. In your holy name, amen.
The Chair has examined the journal of the last day's proceedings and announces to the House his approval thereof, and pursuant to Clause 1 of Rule 1, the journal stands approved.
Mr. Speaker.
What purpose does the gentleman from California rise?
Pursuant to Clause 1, Rule 1, I demand a vote on agreeing to the Speaker's approval of the journal.
The question is on agreeing to the Speaker's approval of the journal. Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Opinion of the Chair, the ayes have it. The journal stands approved.
Mr. Speaker, I object to the vote on the grounds that a quorum is not present and make a point of order that a quorum is not present.
Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, further proceedings on this question are postponed. The Pledge of Allegiance today will be led by the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Burgess.
Please join me in the pledge to our flag and our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Chair will entertain requests for one-minute speeches. For what purpose does the gentleman from Texas rise?
Ask permission to rise and address the House for 1 minute, revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the passage of the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act. Now, President Obama, during the 2008 presidential campaign, repeatedly promised that this would be an open and transparent process. He acknowledged the people's right to know. In fact, he said over and over again, not negotiating behind closed doors, but bringing all parties together so that the American people can see what the choices are. But instead of doing that, May of 2009, a secret meeting of 6 special interest groups down at the White House. In September of that year, I began sending letters. In January of 2010, I filed a resolution of inquiry so we could see what went on in those meetings and what the deal was. But unfortunately, we were shut down. This year now, under new leadership of our Speaker and Chairman Upton, the Energy and Commerce Committee, once again, we are asking the White House to voluntarily provide us that information. And what did they respond? They said it would be too vast and expensive. So they acknowledge the information is there, they just don't want to go get it. Is this the type of transparency that the President campaigned on? I think not. It's time for the White House to make those documents available to those of us in the House who've been asking for them for almost 2 years' time. Transparency is indeed a two-way street. I'll yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from California, Mr. Dreyer, rise?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for a minute to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, back in 1979, after I had narrowly lost my first election to Congress, I came to Washington, and I went to the Washington Post, and I had the opportunity to meet David Broder, the Dean of the Washington Press Corps. Mr. Broder very kindly took me on a tour of the Washington Post newsroom, spent about a half an hour with me, and that meeting left an indelible impression on me. I read the words of writer and commentator Mark Shields, who the other day said that David Broder, who, as we all know, passed away last week, never fell victim to the disease of self-importance. I heard that he spent a great deal of time with young reporters, but here I was, a young, defeated congressional candidate, and he spent time with me. When I had the chance to go onto the Rules Committee, he said, well, it's a great opportunity that you'll find, but remember that committee up there is very small by design. It's to keep us in the press corps out. Well, I have to say that Mr. Broder over the years provided me with friendship and a lot of great advice, and his performances before the gridiron were legendary, and I know that he's someone who will be missed all the way across the board. Mr. Speaker, our thoughts and prayers are with the Broder family, and the press corps is a lesser place for his passing.
Gentleman yields back his time, and pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the House will stand in recess, subject to the call of the Chair.